Youth Biolab Jeunesse.
Hi, I'm Steve.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Angelica.
We're from the Youth Biolab at the Albertson Research Center at St. Boniface Hospital. We all know the job of the hospital is to treat patients. Here at the Research Center, our job is to study disease. If we ever want to cure a disease, we have to understand it first.
When you think of scientists studying disease, you probably think first of things like cancer or more recently, COVID-19. We don't study either of those here. But there are research scientists over at the National Microbiology Lab who are studying infectious diseases like the flu or COVID-19 or Ebola, where they have special equipment that can protect them from the germs that they're working with. There are also groups of cancer scientists working over at Cancer Care Manitoba in Health Sciences Centre, and it's their job to study cancer. We like to keep scientists together so that they can work as a team to come up with cures or treatments for these diseases that we see.
At the Albertson Research Center, we have three big interests. On our fourth floor, we have the Division of Neurodegenerative Disorders. This is where we study diseases that affect the brain and nervous system, just like Alzheimer's disease and type 2 diabetes nerve damage. On our third floor, we have the Institute of Cardiovascular Sciences. This is where we study diseases that affect the heart and cardiovascular system. On our second floor, we have the Canadian Centre for Agri-Food Research in Health and Medicine, and this is where we study food. They research foods that are really good for us, some that might be bad for us, and some that might be so good that they act like medicine.
Our lab, the Youth Biolab, was created so that we can share some of the things that we do here in the Research Center with you. And hopefully we can help you learn a little bit more about how medical science works and understand a little bit more of the science of your own health.
Here at the Albertson Research Center, we work a lot with cells while studying health and disease. It can get really complicated. So today we're going to learn a few basic things about cells and how and why we like to use them in health research. You've probably heard of cells before, maybe as the smallest unit of life, because every living thing is made up of cells. We can't see each individual cell with our eyes, they're so small, we need a microscope to see them. It's hard to picture how small they really are, but if you can picture how big a millimeter is on your ruler, you could take 50 to 100 cells from your body and lay them out end to end and just make up that millimeter. They're so small, so how many cells are we? Well, if you take the smallest pinch possible of your skin, that little pinch is probably around 5 to 10 million cells. By the time you're full grown, you're a walking, talking pile of 50 to 100 trillion living cells, each doing their own job to keep you healthy. So what are cells actually? Well, they're sort of like a fluid-filled sac or water balloon with some very tiny cellular machinery inside that help them perform their role or job in the tissue and organ they live in. Health scientists like to take a real close look at cells to understand their inner workings. You might have seen one of these drawings before when learning about cells in school. All cells have some basic parts, like the cell membrane, which is like the skin of the cell, keeping important things inside. Plants and animal cells have a nucleus, like a brain, directing the cell's actions. They have mitochondria that give energy, and some other organelles that help build things like proteins. So inside, it's often these proteins in cells that are interesting to health scientists because different proteins are what give cells their form and help them do their work. Proteins might also change between a happy, healthy cell and a sad, diseased cell. Most cells, though, don't look anything like that egg-shaped diagram. You have over 200 different types of cells that each look a little different and each have different specialized jobs. In disease, we can see symptoms at the level of a whole person, but doctors and scientists need to understand what's happening at the level of the organs, tissues, and even inside the cells if we want to treat or cure a disease. Scientists are always comparing healthy to sick to try and understand what the disease is doing to a person. We can compare a nice healthy brain to a brain suffering from Alzheimer's, or a healthy heart to a heart attack heart, and maybe we notice some differences. The color and size of a heart might change after a heart attack, but that doesn't explain a lot about what's happening. If we want to look closer, we can take a super thin slice of heart tissue to make a slide we can look at under the microscope. If we look at this, we can see that healthy and diseased heart tissue look very different. The pink parts are heart muscle cells, and in the healthy heart, we see mostly that. But in the injured areas of the heart, we see way less pink muscle cells and all this blue stuff surrounding the muscle. That blue is scar tissue. Just like you might get a scar from a cut on your skin, our organs can sometimes develop scar tissue from injuries like a heart attack. This scar tissue is very tough and stiff, and it makes it hard for the heart to pump blood. So if we want to understand how those changes happen, we need to look at what the cells in those tissues are doing when they become diseased. If we really want to learn about cells in the lab, we can keep them alive outside of the body. So we could take a little piece of heart tissue and separate it all to keep just the one cell type that we're interested in. We could take some cells out of a living thing and put them in one of these special dishes to help protect them from germs. Now we have to keep them alive, and they need most of the same things that you need to stay alive. So you've got to give them food and water, oxygen they can breathe in through this little hole. We couldn't just smush up a sandwich and let them eat away at it, because they can only absorb nutrients the way that your cells absorb nutrients from your blood that your digestive system has already broken down. So we can actually just buy this pre-made cell food that has all the vitamins and minerals and sugar and fat and salts that your cells would need to live. So there are no cells in these dishes, because if we want to convince them that they're inside of a living thing, we have to keep them nice and warm at body temperature. So our cells live in an incubator. These are a type of heart cell, not the muscle cells that do the pumping. These are called fibroblast cells, and their normal job is to be sticky and glue your other tissues together with a protein called collagen. It also sticks them down to the bottom of the dish. So it's these who make the scar tissue after a heart attack. So some of our heart scientists really want to know all about them. We can see the cells zoomed in at 40 times magnification. I drew a little black dot about 1 millimeter long on the bottom of the dish to compare, and it looks like 50 to 75 cells could fit along that line. So small. At 400 times magnification, we can see the nucleus and other organelles. A basic part of understanding disease is comparing one of these healthy cells to a diseased cell to see how they're different. It doesn't look like they're doing much, but they're moving around really slowly and squirting out collagen and even communicating with each other. After a heart attack, the same cells move way faster. They also get much stickier and start squirting out more collagen to make that scar. Scientists can measure these things and try and figure out how to stop the scar from stiffening up the healthy heart tissue around the injury. Another reason we use cells is to test out the negative effects that our lifestyle choices or things in our environment might have on our health. We aren't allowed to sit and force a person to sit and eat only candy all day to see what happens to them, or make them vape or take in other toxins we think could be dangerous. But scientists test out certain toxins or bad things by adding some of them to the cell food in these little dishes to see if it harms the cells or changes their behavior. We might also have to test out new medicines in the dishes of cells before we're able to send them over to the hospital to use in sick patients. Scientists need to be very thorough to make sure that the new drug or medicine actually helps the sick cells stay healthy, and they have to make sure that it doesn't cause any other problems or side effects. We know that it takes a long time and a lot of hard work to develop new medicines to help treat diseases. It's way easier to prevent diseases by staying active, eating healthy foods, and avoiding toxic or harmful things in our food or environment, because these things affect the health of your cells years into your future. Thanks for joining us for Healthy Curiosity. Stay curious.
Make sure to click like and subscribe for more videos, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter. To support the Youth Biolab's ongoing programming and expansion plans, please contact St. Boniface Hospital Foundation at stbhf.ca.